The debate on tariffs ignores a very big issue, the tax wedge. Hello, I'm Steve Forbes, and this is What's Ahead, where you get the insights you need to better navigate these turbulent times. A tariff is a tax, and a tax is a wedge, an obstacle between buyer and seller. How harmful the tax wedge is, of course, depends on its size and its breadth. Let's make the idea simple. Suppose there's no income tax and a person makes $40 an hour and wishes to buy an item that costs $200. That individual would have to work 5 hours to make that purchase. 5 hours times $40 equals $200. Now, suppose the income tax is 50%. The would-be buyer keeps only $20 an hour after that 50% tax. So that individual will have to work 10 hours instead of 5 hours to make that purchase, thanks to that tax wedge. Right now, the tariff discussions are focused on inflation. That is, what impact will tariffs have on prices? Overlooked is that whatever impact tariffs might have on consumer prices, they will impose a wedge, a barrier to doing business. Taxes add friction to conducting business. The magnitude depends on the actual rates and how extensive they will be on particular products and services, and the effect on supply chains and existing trade patterns. That's why the focus on inflation misses the bigger issue. Tariffs don't necessarily raise overall prices. The cost of that $200 item may not change, but the effort required to buy it will. That means less prosperity. Federal Reserve boss Jerome Powell misses the point with this fussing about the possible impact of tariffs on prices. Instead, he should concentrate on the friction they would impose on commerce. The most devastating result historically came from the sweeping Smoot-Hawley tariff bill that began to wend its way through Congress in 1929, triggering the infamous stock market crash. It was signed into law in June 1930. The bill imposed tariffs on thousands of items. The legislation triggered massive retaliations from other countries and effectively blew up the global trading system. Trade shriveled. It began what came to be called the Great Depression, as it was followed by other big economic mistakes, particularly tax increases in the U.S., Britain, Germany, and other nations. Countries resorted to competitive devaluations, what historians labeled beggar-thy-neighbor policies. This disastrous state of affairs is why nations after World War II, led by the U.S., began a series of agreements reducing tariffs and other trade barriers. The resulting explosion in trade was critical for the big growth the world experienced after 1945. The most immediate point today is that the Smoot-Hawley tariffs didn't raise prices. The slump in commerce led to price cuts. Prices don't go up in going out of business sales. Thankfully, the tariffs being enacted or proposed today aren't on the scale yet of Smoot-Hawley. Moreover, unlike 1929-1930, they're still fluid, still subject to change. Nonetheless, the helter-skelter way the issue is being treated leads to real concerns. Hopefully, these are hard-fisted negotiating tactics that will yield sensible agreements and end up reducing trade barriers. But in the meantime, remember the impact the tax wedge can have on economic growth. I'm Steve Forbes. Thanks for listening. Do send in your comments and suggestions, and I look forward to being with you soon again.